Wow, it's been a while, hasn't it? So, what if I were to tell you that I think Amaryllis is the real MVP in High Guardian Spice? No, I'm being serious. I mean every word of this. No joke intended. As baffling as this sounds, Amaryllis has the best character development in the whole show, which obviously should have been aimed at Rosemary and Sage, but we're gonna talk about that on another day. This video is just about Amaryllis, who was one of the three characters that actually kept me invested in the show, the other two being Neppycat and Olive. So, here's my question. Why does Amaryllis work and these other characters fall flat? Well, if you ask me, that's a pretty tricky answer to figure out. And you know what? I'm ready to find out. So let's get started, shall we? Alright, let's break down Amaryllis' journey in the show. She starts off as the typical mean girl, making life difficult for our protagonists, Rosemary and Sage. But despite her abrasive exterior, there's something about her bold spirit that I can't help but admire. Even when she gets her comeuppance, it doesn't stop her from being her true self. However, Amaryllis, of course, is not without her flaws. She consistently ignores the warning signs of danger in the school, which could obviously lead to some serious consequences later on. And let's be real, she would probably be the only girl to pack her stuff up, take her friends with her, and move to a more structured, safe school. But it is what it is. One thing I do appreciate about Amaryllis is her respect for time. Maybe it's because time is a natural at combat and is naturally confident in her abilities. These could be possible traits that Amaryllis values in others. Later, when new magic is being brought into question and Sage is protesting against its use, Amaryllis is the only one who is willing to step in and question Sage on why old magic is more special and more important than new magic. A valid point that I'm sure many of us were dying to know. Afterwards, Amaryllis does take a backseat in some of the following episodes, but don't worry, she comes back strong and displays more of her personality when Snapdragon feels down. This is where we get a glimpse into her vulnerability and see that there's more to her than meets the eye. Overall, Amaryllis may have started off as the resident mean girl. We later see that she has layers to her character that make her way more interesting to watch. Especially towards the end. When Mandrake is leading his siege against the Academy, Amaryllis is a beacon of light, as she and Snapdragon join forces to save the ill-fated teachers and students that are trapped in the fiery basement, proving that epic heroes don't always have to be part of an epic tale. And afterwards, she still tries to help out whenever she can. In the end of the last episode, Amaryllis is a display of what a true guardian should be, putting her own needs aside for that of others. I can't help but say that she is a true gem. This section is not too difficult to grasp, as we get many verbal cues from Amaryllis throughout the show. Amaryllis is a product of her environment. She hails from the affluent and privileged witched family of Witch Country, so it's not hard to see that Amaryllis has had a really cushy, comfy upbringing where she's never had to worry about anything. There's something quite amusing about how shamelessly proud she is of these things, even though she doesn't fully understand how dysfunctional her family really is. But this is nothing new. In fact, it seems that Shakespeare was onto something, as his plays are always filled with wealthy families with plenty of dysfunction in them as well. It just goes to show that old saying, the more the things change, the more they stay the same. Well, there is something I find intriguing about Amaryllis. She may be a bit of an authority figure, brash and privileged, but she has an impressible knack for using magic. In particular, new magic, and she's able to create some pretty unique spells. And maybe this could be that she has the luxury to practice them without her parents telling her no. Speaking of her parents, we don't even know if they have names yet. Maybe that's why Amaryllis has such a deep friendship with Snapdragon. They are both isolated and lonely, and they're just looking for companionship, no judgment included. Obviously, if the show was to continue, my best guess is that Amaryllis would have stepped up to the plate and lead as her story comes to an end. Hopefully for now. So, why is Amaryllis the greatest character in the show? Well, I think I finally worked it out. And the answer is... freedom. Yes, you heard me right. Freedom. Think about it. Amaryllis started off as the typical bully character. Considering that she has no boundaries or limits to what she could say or do, she was never really restricted in any way. When a villain is given free rein to become as deplorable as possible, there seems to be unlimited ways in which the character can be explored and expanded upon. It also increases the depth of their potential story arc, which could also explain why people find Amaryllis so engaging. What I'm trying to say is this. By not restricting your villain's backstory or personality, you can create something truly liberating. And that's possibly why viewers recognize Amaryllis as one of the best characters around. Not that she was supposed to be a villain, but just kinda seems that way. After all, we now live in a world where we are no longer allowed to create villains as vile, evil, nasty creatures. Nowadays, we are forced to accept the same stale notion of villains being portrayed as these misunderstood, sympathetic figures. It was tolerable a decade ago when the theory behind it had some nuance, but now it's just an old trope rehashed and regurgitated until God knows when. And of course, we're all sick of it. Look, a villain is a villain. If you want them to be redeemed, their journey needs to have more complexity and actually have them confront their sins, not just half-ass the whole thing, because that's what we've been seeing a lot lately. So, how would I tweak Amaryllis? Well, to be honest, there is not much I would change about her. I do enjoy the notion of her being a talented new magic user, which also includes seeing her being brave and shameless with her axe on the battlefield. As many of you know, there is a missed opportunity when it comes to the characters of Amaryllis and Sage. It's like an unstated rule that girls have to be friends and not rivals, which is just dumb. Of course they should be rivals. Rivalries are interesting, especially when they're really good. And they can also be really funny. So, that's what I'll do here. In my version, Amaryllis is going to High Guardian Academy to pursue being a guardian because she hates sitting around at home with nothing to do and wants direction in her life. After all, she has no parental guidance, so I can totally see her charming her parents into letting her attend this prestigious academy. So all summer long, Amaryllis is practicing every single spell and technique and is so perfect to the point where she convinces herself she is a magical prodigy. So when the big day comes, when she starts at High Guardian Academy, she is her usual self and is absolutely self-assured that this school will be a knockout. Cut to when potions class is happening and Amaryllis is being impatient and, of course, like everybody else, ingests the poison. She watches with envy as Sage is able to make a cure that she fails to understand that, well, the reason why Sage is successful is because her parents are masters at brewing potions and their methods have probably rubbed off on their daughter. But as a consequence of not knowing this causes Amaryllis to view potions and anything not related to new magic as completely beneath her. So here's my point. Why were we given this interesting duo and then weren't provided with an entertaining dynamic between them? Think about it. There is so much untapped potential in having these two fight for being best student at High Guardian Academy, and yet they could also secretly be impressed by each other's abilities. In fact, I just got an idea. Would you rather watch an episode where Sage and Amaryllis had to team up to conquer a hazardous environment together? What a sight that would be. We could have Sage, with her best knowledge of old magic healing potions, teaching Amaryllis the ropes of healing. Because, for example, maybe Sage gets injured or poisoned, and Amaryllis thinks that she can just leave her behind or carry her off out of the cave or whatever. But then she comes to realize that this is not going to work, and if she leaves Sage behind, they both get a failing grade. So, seeing as leaving her partner behind is going to ruin her opportunity of being, well, the best student at High Guardian Academy, Amaryllis puts her pride aside and lets Sage teach her on how to use healing magic or potions. So after that is all said and done, well, we can have this get reversed. We could then watch as Amaryllis guides Sage through a treacherous task of taking on a giant beast and find its weak spots, for example. Imagine how much respect they'd build for each other by the end of their journey. We all know what an interesting storyline this would make, so why don't we just make it already? Holy crap, I just got an even better idea. What if, after this episode, what if Sage made an effort to change the way she actually thinks towards Amaryllis? To the point where Rosemary could make scathing comments about Amaryllis, but Sage could just casually say that, she's not as bad as a person as Rosemary is making her out to be. This could cause Rosemary to become utterly confused, wondering why Sage was being so kind and understanding. Have this be an opportunity where Sage feels offended and slowly, little by little, the seeds of conflict are planted between Rosemary and Sage. This could lead into a full-blown argument between the two of them at the Autumn Festival. Hey, that strengthens that idea. It feels natural. Why not? Besides, I'm just throwing ideas around. So, there you have it. This is how I would tweak Amaryllis. Just a little to the point where she stays the same but has more stronger motives. And that brings us to the end of this video. Sorry about taking forever, but to clarify real quick, this is not the longer video that I was struggling with that I had mentioned in my community post. That video is still in the works as I had to revise the script for a third time. Because it was just too rambly and too long, I've condensed it down and I have the recordings all done. Now it's just editing and putting it all together. That video should be out by the end of the month or maybe sooner. Anyways, I just wanted to get this video out after not uploading for so long. June was a really busy month for me, but now I'm back on track. So, thank you for subscribing, and of course, I'll see you next time.